Thank you for joining us on This Week in Turkey. I am Murat Tursan. Tonight, we take a look at Orban and Erdoğan's meeting, and journalist and political scientist Sezin Öney will be joining us to comment. Mayor of Istanbul Ekrem İmamoğlu is at COP26. Kemalism in Turkey is reborn, allegations of Turkish involvement in the migrant crisis, and the latest in the economy. But our main story tonight, President of Hungary Viktor Orban and President Erdoğan have their own summit as they are not invited to 2021 Copenhagen Democracy Summit. The 2021 Democracy Summit is hosted by President Joe Biden and will feature representatives from 136 countries for the purposes of tackling the greatest threats faced by democracies today. Now, we can't say for sure if President Orban and President Erdoğan took the no invite personally, but Mr. Orban's welcome in Ankara yesterday was plenty warm. Let's go to that story.
Olur kıtası. Selam. Dur. Kayıt.
Joining me now for analysis, journalist and political scientist Sezin Öney. Ms. Öney, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for spending time for me.
It's our absolute pleasure. We were happy to be able to get you. Now, I believe that you are thoroughly familiar with both of the gentlemen in question, Presidents Orban and President Erdoğan, and I believe you've even resided in Hungary for a period of time. Now, for the folks at home, can you give us a brief of who Viktor Orban is? Who is he as a politician?
Viktor Orban is the dominant leader in Hungary, let's put it that way, just as Erdoğan is in Turkey. They have been in power for more than a decade, both of them. In case of Erdoğan, of course, it's 2 decades. And they have shaped the political sphere of their respective countries according to their wishes, in a way that polarization has made them the dominant power, dominant political figure. The polarization they have created in their countries have made them the dominant figure, and they have shaped the political landscape in the sense of both legal sphere. They have also shaped the legal and the constitutional order, and also paved the way for their perpetual, never-ending, in a way, almost, rule and hegemony.
I see. And you said that they've reshaped the political landscape as well as, I believe, the judiciary. Now, that sounds a little familiar to us over here in Turkey because we're rather familiar with a party that shapes the judiciary. Now, moving on to the meeting between Erdoğan and Orban, according to a statement released by Ankara yesterday, Turkey considers Hungary as an important strategic partner, both militarily and economically. Now, if I may be blunt, to the layman, Hungary and Turkey seem like very strange bedfellows, seemingly completely geopolitically alien to one another. Can you shed some light on how Turkey and Hungary are aiming to cooperate and what the ultimate common goals of this cooperation are?
Actually, Turkey and Hungary have had cultural affinities since the beginning of the actual Turkish Republic. You can even extend it to the time of the Ottoman Empire, circa 19th century, when nationalism emerged in both countries. Both Hungarians and the Turkish, they have discovered their roots in Central Asia. So there was a political affinity. And in fact, Turanism, this Turanic idea, was born in Hungary, then was imported to Turkey, which is the unison of the Turkic people originated from Central Asia. But now we see something different. With AK Party in power in the recent years, and also Fidesz in Hungary, there is now a new affinity, cultural affinity being developed. On the one hand, with the more nationalist leanings of AK Party becoming emphasized, now you have the Turkic side of the old in a way, roots of this affinity being emphasized. There is the Turkic Council, for example, Turkish, which are having their meetings in a way to counter the Russian, for example, influence, if you will, in the Central Asia, and to emphasize the more Turkic and Central Asian original affinities. And Hungary and Turkey are partnering on that front, and also other cultural, for example, more nationalist, old nationalist ideas are coming to the fore. But at the same time, you have economic and also political ideologies becoming infused. Both sides, both Hungary and Turkey, are now in our contemporary times have specific relations with the European Union. Turkey is a candidate country still, despite the fact that relations are lagging, and Hungary is a member. But both are opposing the European Union and criticizing the European Union, while internally being somewhat a part of it. So in that sense, they are critiquing, using the old nationalist idea, the Western powers. They're representing the more Eastern, more different identity of Europeans in their view. So you have an interesting, in a way, new development since a few years coming to the fore. But at the same time, there is a more pragmatic side to the relationship, which is Turkey is using Hungary, in a way, as a jumping board to the European Union. Sometimes it's not so easy to travel within the European Union or make trade, etc. But then you have the possibility of doing such things via Hungary. In a way, Hungary is a Trojan horse within the EU, so to say, that Turkey is certain sides in Turkey are utilizing.
I see. And in addition to that, now I believe both Orban and Erdoğan are decisively right-wing populists. Am I correct in saying that? So they're rather similar in their leadership.
There are different ways of putting it.
I'm sorry, one more time, please.
Charismatic leaders. Depends on point. But you're right to say they're described as right-wing populist leaders and conservative right-wing populist leaders. But at the same time, to their constituency, they're also the charismatic leaders. That's the father figure of the nation. I see.
And of course, there's always that strongman figure in right-wing populism, commonly speaking. Now, as we know that both Turkey and Hungary were not on the list of nations invited to the 2021 Democracy Summit that will be held in Copenhagen next month. Now, instead, President Orban and President Erdoğan seem to have a cordial meeting in Ankara yesterday. Now, could we perhaps say that these two things are related, or are they purely coincidental? Can I get your opinion on that?
They are related, of course, and they will be more related. It's not to say that they're totally directly related, that once Biden's list was out and it's turned out to be that both Hungary and Turkey are not invited, that they have invented this, in a way, mini summit, counter summit, if you will. But that's not the case. But still, indirectly, there was this going on in the background since some time now. Because both of these countries are, in a way, ostracized and leaders are pushed aside as non-democratic, then they are forming that alliance among themselves. But especially in case of Erdoğan and Orban, I think it's working. In some cases of right-wing populist leaders, it might not. But this time, there is a working relationship because it's there in the background since some time, as I mentioned. But to be critical of Biden summits in the first place, probably such a democratic, for example, description doesn't fit all the invitees anyway. So, for example, Poland is invited, which politically not much different than Hungary. So there's a question mark there to begin with anyway.
I see. All right, then, Sezin Öney, thank you for your analysis, and thank you so much for shedding light on the situation, and we hope to see you again in the future. Continuing on in international news, President Erdoğan may not have made a showing at COP26, but we do have a representative in the ring. Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu is in Glasgow. As President Erdoğan cites security concerns and blows COP26 off, the mayor of the largest city picks up the slack. İmamoğlu spoke at COP26 yesterday regards to climate change and the urgency needed to deal with the global crisis.
Thank you, everybody. Hi from Istanbul. More greener, and we feel that the best city in the world. We are recently experiencing serious consequences of climate change, both in our country and in Istanbul, also in the world. When we were young, it was impossible to walk on the streets without wearing a pullover or coat in November. Now we can even wear T-shirts or shirts like summer. Each year we are witnessing sudden rainfall in summer. This year in August, we lost, unfortunately, 82 fellow citizens due to floods caused by sudden rainfall in western Black Sea. Because of the temperature increase in summer months due to climate change, the whole Aegean and Mediterranean region in our country experienced wildfires. We could not put out these fires for several weeks. First of all, I see the viewpoints of populist political leaders to ignore, trivialize, or postpone the goal of reducing carbon emissions. which is the most vital problem for the future of the whole world as important difficulties. Secondly, I see the lack or weakness of the public will to enable established industrial institutions in developed countries of the world, or those that apply aggressive development policies to take swift action for change. Climate change and environmental degradation are existential threats to the entire world. National borders only exist in our minds. However, we cannot draw borders to cities and countries in the physical and real world. Therefore, a fairer financial solidarity and comprehensive technical cooperation at the international level are essential for a solution.
And in domestic news, remember the 10th of November. November 10th in Turkey, of course, is Mustafa Kemal Atatürk's Remembrance Day. The founder of the republic passed away 83 years ago this year, and as tradition dictates, the nation was in mourning once again. But this story isn't solely about Atatürk, but a resurgence of Kemalism. For the last 20 years, AKP ruled this nation through populism, but their policies weren't always popular. And we may now be seeing a resurgence of Kemalist seculars thought once again as a counterculture. What was once a simple day of remembrance may be now taking on a new form, particularly with the younger generation. Medyascope's contributor Dr. Ferhat Kantas shared his thoughts on the comeback of Kemalism.
Actually, it would not be appropriate to describe it in words, because I think it is a matter of the heart. We cannot explain it as a tangible or express it as a tangible thing. Ataturk means everything. If he didn't exist, we wouldn't have existed. Ataturk is me. Ataturk is him. It's my mother, my brother, my father. Ataturk is everything.
Atatürk demek benim için her şey. Öncelikle bunu söylemem lazım.
Atatürk first and foremost means everything to me. I can describe it in simple words, because even when I utter it, it brings tears to my eyes. And today is the anniversary of his death. I am filled with the emotion, but I cannot express them right now. In short, he was a huge place in my heart. So thankful he was, and so we are.
Of course, from Edirne to Kars, from Hakkari to Trabzon, Turkish children learn history. And of course, in this history, one of the most symbolic names is Atatürk. Atatürk is perhaps one of the most central and fundamental names in the establishment of the state. He is an institution unto his own. So think of it this way. Atatürk is a common denominator for this nation, this language. This is a perpetually generated image. So children from all corners of this country internalize this image. How they internalize it? It's probably different in Hakkari, different in Izmir, different in Zonguldak, different in more pious, more religious circles. Based on race or ethnicity, every sect has a different understanding of Atatürk, and it varies depending on social interactions, social movements. It is impossible to talk about a fixed Atatürk. However, today, I think there is a new movement and a revival in Atatürk's image and Atatürk's symbolism. This has been going on for a few years now, but I think it's even stronger this year. I don't know how correct the use of this word is, but perhaps there is now a greater need for Atatürk. For social movements and social sects, certain groups in society, Atatürk has once again become a reference point to be able to express themselves. Atatürk is coming back far stronger as an image, coming back far stronger as a reference.
In international news, as the situation heats up on the Polish-Belarusian border, EU begins pointing fingers in a few directions, and Turkish Airlines is involved. President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, pulled no punches this week when she regarded the migrants at the Polish border as a hybrid attack by Belarus and, by extension, Russia. Prime Minister of Poland, Mateusz Morawiecki, say that 3 times fast, was also in no mood for niceties as he accused Belarus of state terrorism. There is one unlikely party in this crisis that is being accused of misdoings, however. The German publication Die Welt alleges that they got a hold of a government in-house document that accuses Turkish Airlines of being a willing participant in relocating migrants to Europe.
The migrant crisis on the Polish-Belarusian border continues.
The situation on the EU-Belarus border.
President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, announced that the EU will expand sanctions imposed on Belarus and described the situation as a hybrid attack by Belarus. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki was equally decisive, describing the event as state terrorism. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko and Russian President Vladimir Putin both denied responsibility for the allegations, stating that the crisis was caused by the internal workings of the European Union. While tensions continue, thousands of asylum seekers are waiting at the Polish-Belarusian border. Recent details regarding smuggling networks emerged in a confidential European Commission in-house document. Based on the in-house document, Die Welt reports that the majority of smugglers who facilitated the entry of asylum seekers into the EU reside in Germany. The document alleges that Turkish, Iranian, Syrian, and Iraqi citizens living in Germany played key roles in the transportation of the migrants. Migrants, mostly Syrians, also include Afghans, Iranians, Iraqis, Kuwaiti, and Yemenis, are transported from Poland to Germany using rental trucks. Welt reports that an unknown number of rental truck drivers were arrested. Among them were Belarusians holding Schengen visas issued by Poland and Syrians with residence permits issued in the Netherlands. The document from the EU Commission also stated that the asylum seekers are at the Polish border with the goal of reaching and settling in Germany and Finland. The Welt report also alleges a Turkish connection. The report claims that Belavia, the Belarusian flagship airliner, and Turkish Airlines organizes 4 to 7 flights a week from Istanbul to Minsk, carrying 180 migrants each flight. So far, Turkish Airlines has refuted this claim.
And in the economy, unemployment numbers are in, and for now, it's not all doom and gloom. Though unemployment remains practically steady, at least it's not worse. Turkish Statistical Institute reports that unemployment is down less than 0.5%, but the lira continues to devaluate. For the first time this week, the lira is trading at 10 to 1 against the dollar, and the devaluation doesn't seem to have an end in sight. Let's take a look at those numbers.
The Turkish Statistical Institute reports the seasonally adjusted unemployment rate as 11.5%. The number of unemployed persons aged 15 and over decreased by 70,000 in September of 2021 compared to the previous month and became 3,794,000 people. In addition, unemployment rate decreased by 0.3 points and landed at 11.5%. Inversely, the seasonally adjusted employment rate was 45.8%. The number of employed increased by 426,000 people in September of 2021 compared to the previous month to 29,254,000, increasing the employment rate by 0.6 points to 45.8%. The seasonally adjusted labor force participation rate was 51.7% in September of 2021, and the workforce increased by 356,000 people compared to the previous month to 33,048,000 people, with the labor force participation rate increasing by 0.5 points to 51.7%. The unemployment rate among the 15 to 24 age group decreased by 0.9 points compared to the previous month to 21.5%, while the employment rate increased by 0.3 points to 32.7%. Inversely, the labor force participation rate in this age group decreased by 0.1 points compared to the previous month to 41.7%. Meanwhile, the lira dips even lower against the dollar this week and lands at around 10 to 1. After the central bank's decision to cut the interest rates by 4 basis points last month, the lira once again fell hard and for the first time ever is trading roughly at 10 to 1 against the dollar this week. The lira has lost 25% of its value this year alone, and due to the market uncertainty and concerns over the lack of independence of the central bank, there is no telling if it won't sink even further still.
That's it for us in This Week in Turkey. I have been Murat Tursan, and thank you for joining us.
Türkiye'nin sivil, bağımsız, özgür ve çoğulcu bir medya ortamına ihtiyacı var.
Medyascope 20 Ağustos 2015'te bu ihtiyacı karşılamak üzere yola çıktı. Ama yolumuz uzun. Bu yolculukta bize Patreon veya YouTube'un katıl butonu üzerinden katkıda bulunabilirsiniz. Destek verin, sizinle güçlenelim.